In our regional segment tonight, we start with news coming out of Venezuela. Envoys of Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido on Monday took control of several diplomatic properties in the U.S. Venezuela's acting president, Nicolas Maduro, has cut diplomatic ties with the U.S., accusing it of attempting to oust him from power. Guaido, who invoked Venezuelan's constitution and declared himself interim president, has pushed Western countries to isolate Maduro's regime. Guaido said his representatives had taken control of the diplomatic properties to strengthen bilateral relations with the U.S. and better serve the Venezuelan community in the country. The U.S. State Department in Washington was pleased to support these requests. The Venezuelan Foreign Ministry called on the U.S. to take the necessary measures to immediately reverse this forcible occupation. Guaido's U.S. envoy, Carlos Vecchio, said that 12 out of 55 staff members of the diplomatic properties decided to remain in the U.S., throwing their support behind Guaido. Earlier this year, Venezuela's military attaché to the U.S. became one of the first military officials to recognize Guaido. Many more have followed in his footsteps. Up to 1,000 members of Venezuela's security and armed forces have fled to Colombia since February. In January, then opposition lawmaker Guaido declared himself president of Venezuela in a stunning move that undermined Maduro's authority in the country. The U.S. immediately recognized him as the legitimate president of the oil-rich, cash-strapped country. Shortly after, Germany and other Western countries recognized him. But Maduro's regime continues to enjoy support from countries such as Russia, China, and Turkey. Turning now to news from Haiti, Prime Minister Henry Sillon was thrown out of office by a no-confidence vote on Monday, prompted by government dysfunction and inability to quash inflation, blackouts, and frequent opposition protests that have paralyzed Haiti. The Chamber of Deputies voted 9-3-6, with 3 abstaining, to replace Sillon as soon as President Jovenel Moïse and the heads of Parliament's 2 houses agree on a replacement. Until then, Sillon's cabinet will remain in place with limited powers, raising the prospect of even rockier government performance. Moïse and Sillon have had frequent disagreements that have hampered Sillon's ability to carry out his constitutional duty to run the state. The president has held office since July, when his predecessor was removed for mismanagement of the end of subsidized oil from Venezuela. And closing off our regional news segment tonight, Buju Banton is once again in the news. It is now left up to Mark Murray Jr. to obtain a medical report to substantiate his claim that he was physically assaulted by his father, Mark Murray Sr., popularly known as Buju Banton, before the police can decide if any charges should be laid. The younger Murray, a producer who's well known as Marcus, filed a police report on March 14, alleging that he was called to by a meeting by his father, which was also attended by 2 other persons. During the meeting, Banton is alleged to have grabbed his son by his throat before punching him in the mouth. He then pushed him against a wall where he continued squeezing his throat, and despite a detailed report being filed, cops can only proceed if the younger Mary returns with a report from the doctor. Attorney at law Bart Samuel said that nothing was unusual about the stance the police have taken. The younger Mary set tongues wagging last week when he took to social media, openly castigating his father, who returned home in December 2018 after spending a little under a decade in a federal prison in the United States on a drug conviction. However, last evening, Marcus posted a photo of himself and father on Instagram together, which left fans hopeful that the two may be working towards reuniting. And that's all for tonight. Back to you, Handel.